Yo, what's crack-a-lackin', Ridge Runner Nation? Welcome to Voss Talks. There will eventually come a day where I'm no longer in the center and I'm hosting this show. But for now, I'm honored to be captaining this ship that has absolutely zero destination because this show is all about you, the viewers, and whatever topics our live callers want to talk about. It's been a while since we've had this whole group together. What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot, man. Just happy to be back and getting excited for the whole ultra running season to get going. Spring is in the air.
No doubt. The weather looked pretty incredible today in Denver.
Yeah, it was. It was about 60 degrees and sun was shining. Funny though, there's still like a decent amount of snow because we got like 8 to 12 inches last week one day. So it there's still snow kind of in piles.
Nice. Yeah, it was pretty disappointed that the snow followed me out there, but hopefully it kind of melts for you pretty quick. Cam, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Wesley. Stoked to be here. How are you?
Oh, doing well. John, what's up?
I am here tonight. We surprisingly haven't talked about our beverages yet, so I'm going to kick that off because, that's an important part of tonight's show. I am drinking the Florida Man Double India Pale Ale from Cigar City Brewing. It is pretty delicious, and I'm hopefully going to get into another beer too this evening. What about you, Wesley? What are you drinking?
So I actually just got the water. I'm telling you, this is tricky for me with these start times for these shows. I actually have a workout to do tonight, so totally locked in right now. Can't really mess around, so I'm just gonna stick with that. What about you, Cam?
Yeah, and so because Wesley's being smart, I've decided to be stupid in order to make up for that. So tonight I'll be drinking black cherry white claws. As they say, there are no laws when you're drinking claws. So
I love that energy. Nick, what about you?
I've got a local beer here in Denver from what I think is one of the best breweries here, New Image Brewing. It's called Straight Triplin. It's a triple West Coast IPA.
Getting after it.
Right on. And I have to say, I have it in a Mount Mitchell challenge glass because last weekend was the typical date. So rest in peace to the 2021 Mount Mitchell challenge.
You still got after it in a virtual capacity. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I love that race and wanted to still support it. So they offered a virtual option this year and it's a automatic bypass, I think, to their lottery next year if you did it. So signed up for the virtual challenge and yeah, thanks to you, we got a marathon run done.
Yeah, no, it's cool to kind of go out there and run some miles. So I just want to remind everyone watching, if you want to join the show and call in, be one of our live callers tonight, just text the number at the top of the screen and we will get you on the line. It's gonna be super exciting when our first caller gets on the line here. But I just want to go around in the circle, like we said, it's been a minute since we've done this. How's everyone's training going? Like, what's everyone been up to mileage wise? Cam, how about you start us off?
well, my training has taken kind of the typical Cam turn where it's a lot of something.
Complaining?
Yeah, a lot of that on Strava because or at the very least, if you don't know, you should expect me to treat Strava like my personal diary, because that's always how I do things. I'm glad I finally caught that Michael Owen unfollow. He's been a real big fan of following and unfollowing me on Strava in order to try to elicit some kind of reaction. Mostly just ignore that and continue doing my own thing because I like treating Strava like a diary. But anyways, a few little nagging things, doing some more strength training, this sort of like block. Been very frustrated with all the snow and ice, and hopefully all that's gone. But yeah, nothing really super notable to speak of, I don't think.
I think it's still pretty solid. And obviously, you're going to beat Nick by 20 plus miles if your prediction from our last video is still pretty true. Is that right? Heading to OBU, you feeling good? Feeling pretty loose?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty solid still about the 20-mile prediction. It's just, what they say, when people come down from the mountains here to the east, the air is so much more dense and there's so much more oxygen available to them that their lungs really can't handle it. So I think as a big science guy, Nick will back me up on that, actually.
Well, luckily luckily it's only about 5,000 feet here in Denver. That might hold absolutely not true if I lived higher, but it actually could be closer to true just because I'm not really up that high.
How's your training been going, Nick?
Uh, it's kind of up and down, kind of like Cam said. My goal going into the year, I think if anybody remembers that, they definitely don't. But 2,000 miles is my goal for the year. So I'm slightly behind that, just like I think 15 miles behind that or so. Um, and my goal was really the way I like to train is kind of like a three building weeks and then a down week. Not necessarily down miles, but down effort and keeping the effort low. But it's been more like 2 good weeks and then a bad week. But I've also been trying to learn how to ski a little bit too, and do some other things which I think aren't all bad. But all that being said, I still have I have over 300 miles in the first 2 months of the year, which looking back, I had to do a little digging through Strava today, but there was only one year when I had more, and that was a year that I raced Mount Mitchell, and it was only a few miles more. So overall, that was back in 2017. So overall, trending in the right direction, and I don't know. Cam's pretty confident about that 20-mile thing. I think he's just got to focus on beating me because I think as of today, I actually have more miles than him on the year. So we'll see, Cam.
When was that updated? Did you have more miles than him entering today, or is that pretty recent?
Well, I didn't realize until I told you I did a little Strava research and went for a run at lunch and started doing some research and saw I was a couple miles down. So popped out the door real quick before the show.
Before the show, you just get out the door. You're like, hey, I got to make sure I have more miles than Cam to let Ridge Runner Nation know that I'm not going to lose by 20 miles. That's what you did. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's just that's the mentality I'm taking into it. Just go a little farther than Cam.
Yeah. We'll see on the day. I mean, I took that mentality into that year where we did the Shawnee 50. I was training most of the summer with Alex Jackson, and I'd always be like, oh, I'll run to your apartment to meet you. And then I'd have like a mile on him on the day after running to and from his apartment. And then he smoked me at that race. So, fresh legs, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I think the world is highly anticipating, the battle between you guys. Obviously, huge names at OBU that are going to be battling it out for, super crazy miles. But people are really going to be tuned into you guys, just throwing down whatever miles you throw in. It's going to be fun to see.
The battle for 19th place is going to be very exciting, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's only second, so that's how that works.
18th loser, maybe.
John, what about you? How's your training going?
Well, apparently.
We'll get your mic fixed there, John.
You guys could hear me. Well, so everyone knows Nick and Cam heard all about that. Not that they've heard it already in the chat numerous times. But what I was saying is I had a work thing happen that took me out for a good part of February in the beginning. Just a project that I had to do that was, 60, 70 hours a week I ended up doing. I didn't quite get the time in I wanted, but I wanted to go into the last week of February, the last couple of weeks, trying to make up for what I had lost in beginning of February. But after thinking about that, that's actually not a good idea because I would have overdone it and maybe injured myself or something like that, trying to make up for everything. So I just went with, the regular plan. January went well. I did I think a 32-day streak, which is the longest I've ever had. I'm going to restart that actually beginning of April, and I'm going to run that again I'm hoping going to do a 60-day streak. I think it was a good challenge and it was exciting, but so far I'm happy. I've been happy with where I'm at. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm not upset with it. So That's where I'm at.
Are you going to keep building? The past 2 weeks you've had like 26 miles, and the 2 weeks before, and then I think last week you hit 28. Are you going to like keep getting 30, 32 and slowly build this thing, or kind of what's your game plan, your progression over the next 2 months?
Yeah, so far my current plan is to increase, but I was originally deciding between time or between like total mileage for the week. And so I was looking at both of those options, and then I said, no, I'm gonna go with effort. So like while I did a slower or less miles last week than maybe, would have been a 10% increase, I felt like I put more effort into it because a couple of those runs were faster than I would have done. And I, in that and tied together with all of the strength training that I've been adding with kettlebells and stuff like that, the total effort for the week I think was at a point that was still an increase. So I want to focus more on the effort per week and the amount of that I do that way, not necessarily my time or my total mileage or whatever. So that's my kind of plan, as I'm keep to build up to mid early summer. I have a 50 miler scheduled, the Warhammer 50 down in Kentucky, so that's going to be exciting as a June race. Pretty happy about that.
I forgot you hopped in that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think we've got some callers ready to go in the queue, but before we get to those, I'll just make my recap pretty quick. This year's been pretty solid for me so far. I'm 2 for 2 on the monthly 30 miler, which is one of my big goals. And then also, if you've watched the latest World of Wesley, you saw that I recently got a coach, which has been a pretty big, awesome change in my running world. And I think JD3 are actually going to have a nice heated debate about that later in the show if we get time for that. But it's cool because like I am just doing things that I wouldn't normally do. So like tonight I mentioned like I've got a workout to do. Like it's like 6 by 3 minutes hard uphill. Like I would never do something like that high intensity for that short. But it's been good. It's so tough because a lot of times like I just want to like take the training wheels off a little bit. Like this weekend it's like a 3-hour long run. And no disrespect to a 3-hour long run. Like I think that's awesome, but I prefer to do my longer runs very long. So like when I get to like 24 miles or more, that's when I feel really successful. So, just you can't always hit that when you do 3 hours. So, but I've been really happy. I mean, I've been healthy all year so far and, ready to go for Promised Land 50K in about 7 weeks now. So that'll be my first race of the year and pumped to get going. Good. No questions. We'll get that out of the way. So before we get someone here on the line with us, I know Nick is also running the Promised Land 50K. Are you even like thinking about that after OBU, or are you just totally locked in on OBU right now?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm definitely going into OBU, just focused on that. Haven't been doing really any workouts or faster work to try and get ready for Promised Land, but I'm still just trying to build base miles and hopefully the couple weeks after OBU, that's when I'll be able to get some faster, shorter stuff as I'm recovering and not go too long in that. I think it's like 4 weeks exactly from OBU to Promised Land.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't have to do too much, right? You just probably got to keep the fitness will already be there. Just kind of maybe do a couple speed things. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, make sure I recover. That's going to be number one in the week or two following, but try and just ease back in and keep everything firing.
That's going to be a blast. I tried to convince Cam to get down there for that one, but he's going to be just, when you run 200 miles at OBU, you don't want to, go out to Promised Land 4 weeks later. So we get it, Cam. We get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I got 2 big things on my calendar this year that I want to do, and I think other than that, I want to have a lot of adventures. Pinning a bib on is not the most exciting thing in the world for me, especially as much as I've been getting into cycling recently. So it's just OBU, rim to river. We'll see where the chips fall elsewhere. It might be a Jamie Hanks type decision to enter Mohican like the week of maybe. But other than that, I'm just looking to get out there and enjoy the summer. Finally get some vitamin D for once, because I have been feeling starved for that recently. If it was warm enough, I'd be sunning myself like a lizard on a rock right now in Columbus, I promise.
Yeah, I took a similar approach there, Cam. I usually race kind of all through the summer and kind of a race every month. And this year I definitely made an effort to leave most of June, July, and August open, except for just I think just one little short race in that 3 month period. So it's going to be hopefully adventures and getting out and doing some fun things, including some bike riding.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I told, funny enough, I told someone that I would actually go on a mountain bike ride with them at some point. So
Wow.
I don't want to spill the beans. Like I don't want to, get too crazy, but I will
make sure that gets on camera.
Yeah.
We're going to have to we'll get Earl the Pearl kind of trailing behind you with a camera there.
We'll need to get someone out there with the camera for WoW to show the case that, because that'll be, I'll probably fall 6 times. It'll be good for everyone to see.
Love it.
But yeah, so we actually have our first guest ready to go in the queue. They're going to be joining us real shortly now on the line. It's going to be awesome to kind of chit chat with this person. Stand by, John.
I'm nervous who this could be.
The highly anticipated.
Good caller.
I see there's 2 numbers. John's got to sort it out.
See, this is
maybe not.
This is why Chadwick had that whole little rant about the Nesquik code, which, by the way, I had to look that up. That apparently was a thing that must have happened during his childhood. Was not something that I definitely recognized as he discussed that.
No, that's fair. I think actually that mistake was on me, so I'll take the blame for that one. But I think John's gonna fix us now. So joining us on the line right now, coming to us from wherever they're coming from. Who's with us on the line? And where are you from? Who's on the line with us?
Hello. Hi. This is Travis. I'm calling from.
What's up, Travis? We got the echo there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Trying to multitask, doing a few things here.
What's new, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm sitting here with my son, watching your guys' program here, trying to make sure everybody's getting ready for bed and make sure I get ready for bed here soon too, shortly.
Wow, you sound like you are 65 years old. You just call this a program?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I kind of feel like these days.
I don't know if we deserve that much respect already. You know what I mean? I don't know if we got to the program level.
The program. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you are feeling 65 years old, I hear there's a race coming up maybe next week. Are you searching for the Masters win then with this new age under your belt?
Yeah, I'll take the Masters win. That should suit my, where I'm kind of at right now. Between juggling work and a 1-year-old puppy and a 1-month-old child and other animals around the house. Yeah, it's training hasn't quite come around as good as it has in previous years. So yeah, we'll say I'm going for the Masters win.
Well, that's actually interesting. It sounds like thinking about it just off the top of my head, I think most of the guys that are going to be vying for the men's overall, I think are pretty much all fathers.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. I think I might be the newest addition to that fatherhood.
Definitely.
No, because I do know, I don't think Arlen has a kid yet. Or
yep.
Zach Marin. But I do think a few of the other guys do, because I know so Super Bowl 50K next weekend. Quite a few really fast runners are going to be there. And yes, quite a few of them do have kids. But I think there's some contenders up there too that don't have them yet.
Well, when you're on your horse, I don't think there's anyone in Ohio, especially at the 50K distance, that can kind of touch what you've done at a lot of these local Ohio races. What's your kind of mindset going into it? And do you think, would you bet on yourself for this race?
It's going to depend on the morning of the race. I've been feeling a little, I've had some inner knee pain just this week. And, I don't think my training's been bad. It's far from the normal mileage I usually am putting in, but I've been getting a little bit more speed in, still getting 50 to 60 miles a week, which is good. I mean, very good for, a lot of people, not normally where I like to be at going into a race, but, I feel fine. We'll see, I forget what it's like to race. I haven't raced in so long. It feels like, since my last real race, it's been many months. So it'll be nice just to kind of have that atmosphere and, see a lot of these guys that I know in Ohio. A lot of people, not just the guys I know that'll be going for the win, just a lot of people that I know from this area, and that Brian Poland, the race director, has gotten to come to this race. So either way, should be fun. It's always fun to do well, though.
Yeah, we're excited to, chat with Brian Poland tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern on Rich Runners Live to kind of preview the Super Bowl 50K. But it's going to be awesome. I'm sure he's pumped to have, such elite runners like you and a couple other people, as well as, the countless other people who just consistently show up to that race year after year. It's crazy to think that race is already going on year 5.
Yep. Yeah. I think I've been asked the last 2 or 3 years in a row to try and make it down to this or up to this race. And I've always had a race that conflicts with it, whether it was, Mount Mitchell the last 2 or 3 years, or last year, I think it was the Belmonte 50 miler that happened to line up with it almost the same weekend. But yeah, it's cool to stay local and finally get a chance to run this race. I've heard good things about it. And the competition, I mean, it's basically like Ohio's 50K of kind of everybody from Ohio that has done some pretty fast stuff on 50Ks will be there, along with, as I said, a ton of other people. But should be fun.
Nick, I think you got something here.
Yeah. So Travis, it sounds like it's going to be pretty competitive, and those top runners are going to have a little giddy up. So I don't know. Just tell us. So what's your planned pace that you're going to be galloping at?
I don't think I'm going to do anything stupid like I've done in the past. I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to try and hang out around the front. No running off the front or trying to. I don't think I haven't, I used to always pride myself on, what Wesley now does and tries to run a 30 miler every week, whether that be a race or not. But, the training, the distance really hasn't been there. I've been getting good mileage, but nothing, no super big, good runs. I mean, I've only gotten like 120 miler in this year. So, kind of falling back on, hope some of that strength is just still in my legs and I can gut it out. So probably just hang out, as close to the front as I can with the group of guys that's up there. I know Zach Marin, he's a real fast guy. He's going to be there. You got Gabe Rainwater, who's won it, super fast. David Riddle, very, very, very fast guy down from Cincinnati. Mike Owen, if he ends up running, we'll see. Jacob Conrad, Arlen Glick, and I'm sure that those are just the names I know off the top of my head. But yeah, there should definitely be some, fast people there where it's not going to really be, somebody's going to have a good day. So we'll see if I can hang on.
Well, Travis, I think you got to go into it confident. You're a thoroughbred through and through. And, there's just I'm predicting you're gonna win by at least a few lengths.
A few furlongs, is that that's the horse term?
You tell me. I don't know.
You've been to the Derby, right, Travis?
The what?
The Kentucky Derby?
I have not.
Oh man,
I've been to some Kentucky Derby parties. Maybe 2022 I'll end up at the Kentucky Derby.
Hey, if you win Super Bowl, we expect to see you at the Kentucky Derby in 2022.
I'll do it with the race winnings.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you hopping on the line with us.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Take care.
Good luck, Sip.
Yep. Bye.
Oh man, that was awesome. I mean, I pulling for Travis this weekend. Obviously, a lot of good runners up at Super Bowl, but you can't not bet against Travis when he's in a race. I feel like, especially in Ohio 50K. I mean, how many of those does he want? A ton.
Yeah, a lot. He sure knows how to jockey for position. That's for sure.
That's just. I'm so glad Nick has come through with the horse puns, because I've been sitting here just like racking my brain.
I got the
I'm
horses
just
in
like
the bag.
locked in a stable or
stock is
something.
attached.
See, that's nothing, you know. This is why this is Voss Talks, right? Because he's got those. This is the talent that Wesley and I don't have.
Yeah, this is just not there. We can't have that on too many horse puns right now for Voss Talks. But I think our next caller is actually ready to go. Let's get them on the line. Let's talk to our next caller here. Just keep it kind of coming. And who's on the line with us and where you're from?
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Tanner.
Hey, Tanner, how's it going?
Man, it's going.
How are you feeling heading into OBU? Obviously, it's a couple weeks out. I mean, coming off your win last year there, you have to be feeling pretty confident. But the entrance list, obviously, this is going to make it one of the Ohio's probably most competitive ultramarathon this year. How you feeling?
Oh yeah, Wesley, I have to 100% agree with you. It's gonna be a pretty awesome event, pretty big, obviously, just with the names that are on that entrant list. As far as me, man, I'm doing as good as I possibly can be, considering all that's going on and just being able to get in the training I need to get in and all that good stuff. But man, I couldn't be happier.
What's your training look like heading into the race?
So it's like I said again, it's like we talked a few months ago, it's a lot of just 4.2 mile loops and just doing whatever you can to kind of simulate race day, kind of going through the whole interlupal period, sitting down, eating food, all that kind of good stuff. So just kind of fine tuning all the little race day nuances and kind of just pinpointing where you can kind of save time and all that good stuff. So that's kind of where it's not so much, you're running, but it's more so kind of getting all the kinks out. So.
And so you seem to kind of be typifying the one approach to training for a backyard ultra there, Tanner, which is you're doing specific training, not the way most people talk about specific training when it comes to running, but you're kind of just doing dress rehearsals. Do you think that's more beneficial, especially for people who are closer to the middle of the pack? They're not winning these things like you did last year, versus just trying to gain more fitness to go longer at one of these races?
Yeah, so 100%. I definitely support what you just said. For me, that's kind of what worked me going in. I was coming off a 100-miler like six weeks prior, and I kind of took like a week or so off. And then with that limited time I had left, maybe like 4.5, 5 weeks, basically just did 4.2 mile loops, kind of on similar terrain, and kind of mixing road and trail together to kind of cover the basis, and just kind of going through that 4.2 mile loop and just kind of getting that mental part of it kind of just on point.
So we've got a couple rookies that are going to be that are on this call as well, you know, with Nick and Cam and coming into OBU. But like, what's one part about like the interlupal period that you think, you know, people should really focus on that maybe often gets overlooked?
Man, that's a great question. You know, I couldn't really pinpoint an exact answer for you right now. I would go with kind of the safe answer, and that is, you know, you can never go wrong with getting enough nutrition and fluids and you know, sodium and all that good stuff. Just making sure, and it's different for everyone, you know. So I would say definitely start with getting in the right amount of nutrition, and then kind of understanding what your body wants. And it's going to be different for everyone, but you can't go wrong with nutrition. And then kind of once you kind of got that nailed down, you can kind of work toward your gear and kind of your crew and communicating with them and just kind of all the other things. So I would say nutrition is a great way to a great place to start.
Love that. Nick, I'm sure is going to clap back at me here for my line here. What do you got, Nick?
No. I'm focused on Tanner here. I gotta just pour every ounce of knowledge out of him that I can get here, because what he did was so impressive last year. So Tanner, do you ever have any foot issues when you're doing this long stuff, or are you just kind of wired to just shut that off and ignore it?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So believe it or not, back in November, the OBU itself didn't give me any foot problems, but I did have some bad blisters prior to, because of some military training and stuff like that. A couple of days, just the scheduling didn't work out, and I had to do this ruck march, and I didn't wear the right socks. My feet got pretty jacked up on the balls of my feet, so I ended up having to run OBU with blisters already on my feet. But yeah, blister prevention is very important.
That is wild. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how your competitors have to be like realizing, okay, like obviously you just won this thing, but like, I mean, it is crazy to hear like the stories. You came on Returners Live and kind of talked about it, but I mean, I don't know, like
right.
There's so many awesome runners in this race, and that's just going to make it super exciting to kind of watch. And, you know, I wish I could be there, but I'm super excited to see how far you can go. I mean, 250, 300. What's kind of your number that you're shooting for?
See, man, that's the thing. I'm not shooting for a number. I'm just gonna go until I can't, and we'll see what the days bring us. And hopefully, you know, I think we've got a good set of experienced people, and a lot of people with, you know, 100-mile plus distance experience. So I'm gonna be so bold to say we'll probably see the most one, at least 150-mile people at 150-mile mark out of any backyard ever. So I'm gonna be so bold to predict that. But again, I have no goal. I'm just gonna go until I literally can't no longer.
We'd love to hear that, especially because, like, I mean, especially for the affiliate backyard ultras. I mean, sometimes they don't even hit 150. So you guys are going to go out there. You guys could have seriously 10 men and women hit, you know, combined 150, which will just be absolutely incredible. Tanner, we'll be pulling for you on race day. I know I will be. Cam and Nick will be your competitors, but I'm sure when they drop early in the first day, they will be pulling for you as well.
Appreciate it, Wes.
Yep. Thank you so much, man, for coming on tonight. We really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
What a guy.
He's awesome. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't sound like he is as young as he is.
That's the crazy thing is, like, it's weird to kind of like, he's got like all the experience, which is, I mean, of like a true veteran in the sport, I feel like. And I mean, his mentality is like, I try to ask him, you know, all the questions to poke and prod, to spark a reaction. You know, he's like, hey, just going to do my thing every single loop, you know, not worry about, you know, the Harvey Lewises of the world. I'm just going to go do my thing. And I respect the heck out of it. So.
Yeah, he's there to see what he can do. He's not really there to see what other people can do. I think that's key for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love to see it, and I'm excited to kind of see what he does next. We do have these transitions. JD3, we're never going to get to our battle and our heated discussion here, but that's okay. We'll keep the calls flying in, like we said. This is Voss Talks, so we're going to get this person on the line right now. Who's joining us on the line, and where are you from?
Just me?
Oh, you're on. How's it going? Who is this?
Good. This is Earl the Pearl here.
Oh,
Got a basketball legend calling in.
Are we still going mountain biking?
Yeah, well, I heard I was out on the trails mountain biking. I heard somebody talk about Wesley mountain biking, and my radar went up. I was like, I got to call in. The problem is, I don't think Wesley's got it in him to be a mountain biker.
How so?
Shots fired.
Fingernails.
I mean, I snowboard a little bit, so that's kind of the same thing. Same
snowboards?
motion. I do. Get after it on the slopes.
It's the same motion. I guess you're right. It's like surfing is the same motion as ultra running.
Exactly. Man, it's awesome to kind of have you on. We missed the days where we'd have you on those rundown clips to, give us trail correspondent updates. How are things looking out on the trails this time of year?
Well, I just got off the trails a few minutes ago. I'm still all muddy from I was doing a little trail maintenance out in some drainage work out on Thunder Bunny, and it's been a weird year for us here. We haven't had a lot of the days where it's kind of wet and frozen because we've had more snow this year than we've had for a long time. So trails were kind of snow packed, ice packed, and now all that's gone and they're pretty muddy. But we've had a couple of days of sunshine and actually I think Thunder Bunny's in pretty good shape today, except for the predictable soft muddy spots.
Well, that's great to hear. And Earl, if you don't mind, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. You're going to come with us on this little journey here. JD3 pulled up a clip that you gave us back in the day. So we're going to kind of all watch it together and just reminisce, the mysterious, majestic Earl the Pearl.
Hello, Ridge Runner Nation. This is Earl the Pearl, your trail conditions correspondent, coming to you live from the beautiful Athens Trail. And specifically, coming to you live from this very cool bridge. A little known fact that Earl the Pearl designed this bridge. Built it, I cut down some of these trees, hauled them over my shoulder, took them home, sanded them, planed them, brought them back up here and built it and designed it. My bridge. Just kidding, I didn't do any of that. But I'll tell you what I did do. I came to you today again to give you another trail conditions report. And I apologize, I know it's been a few weeks since we've talked, and keep in mind, Earl the Pearl is a busy guy, not to mention Earl the Pearl is a very important guy. But there's been overwhelming response and request for more trail conditions report. Hey, by the way, JB, can you do this with your crutches? Barty, with your 78th birthday coming up in a couple of days, can you do this? Don't think so. Anyway, so Ridge Runner Nation's kind of been struggling without Earl the Pearl, and they reached out to my agent, asked if I could do another trail conditions report. I said, sure, let's do it. So anyway, trail conditions are wonderful, they're beautiful. Tell you what, Ridge Runner Nation, put down that wrapping paper, stop it with the Christmas stuff. Get out here, get on the trails. It's a great time to be on the trails. Till next time, Earl the Pearl signing off.
Wow. And when the ratings are down on Ridge Runners, we just got to go to Earl the Pearl to boost those ratings. That's incredible.
Hey, I heard I heard that day the production assistant was surprised that what take was that? Was that the 10th, 12th, 15th take?
You sent a lot of those.
That was the first take, Leslie. You were there. That was the one take.
Was I really there? No, I wasn't. No, I would remember if I was there.
You filmed that one. Did you not film that one? That was a one take job.
Yeah, you did, Wesley, because you went out with gear to meet him to film.
It was not a one take. I have multiple.
He has no idea.
I have multiple clips in my thing. There's no way it was a one take thing.
But you were definitely there.
I was okay. I was probably there, but that's I see.
Go check your anals. I'm sure you'll find in your anals that was a one take gig.
You still doing that, building bridges and that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm planing the wood by hand now. I use my teeth to plane the wood.
Oh,
Well, Earl the Pearl, in all seriousness, I think, if those watching don't know, you do a ton of work, to maintain those trails in Athens. And it's something I think that all of us, there might be a little barrier to entry if some of us don't really know what we're doing. And that goes for me too, in terms of trail work. But how many hours do you think you spend a year, would you say, maintaining and cleaning up trails?
Well, that's a great question. I'm gonna, just ballparking. It's at least I spend at least 60 to 80 hours a year, but probably more like 150 is probably normal. 120, 150 hours a year. So, I love doing it. And I always, my line is always the trails aren't going to take care of themselves. So, we've got some great trails here, and part of it is because a lot of us have put a lot of time into keeping them in good shape.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're just one person. So I think if we all can kind of think about, the impact that we could have if we all just did, 8 hours or 16 hours a year, just maybe a couple days or half days, I think we could all, make a big difference and help out, all those parks departments. They can't really handle it. So we appreciate what you do.
Here in Ohio, thank you. I appreciate that. Here in our part of Ohio, the parks don't do anything. It's all us,
Right.
So now it's a little bit different with the Bailey's trails, the new trails there, but with us here, it's, hey, I know you guys been talking ultras. I got to tell you, all that conversation, listening to you guys talking to Travis and Tanner and all that kind of inspired me. I mean, I think this week I had one run that was a solid 2 miles. I think maybe next week I might do a 3-mile run.
Is that in preparation for Bighorn?
Yeah, I'm doing the Bighorn 100.
There we go.
Hey, I do have a question for you guys. So, Nick, you've been running in the Colorado mountains a little bit now, and Wesley, you've discovered the Utah mountains a little bit. How do those compare to the mountains of Southeast Ohio?
Oh man, Nick, I'll let you start since you've been out here longer.
Yeah, so they're pretty different, kind of in every way. I mean, to start, I think the biggest difference is just the type of terrain. Obviously, Ohio is a pretty humid state, and Colorado is the high desert, so it's a lot of rocky and kind of almost like sandy dirt that's really dry, kind of slippery. And that's just mostly here in the Front Range. Obviously, up high, it just becomes just piles of rocks kind of stacked on top of each other. But I think the biggest difference that I've noticed is it's a hell of a lot easier to navigate and figure out where you're at here, because you can always kind of get up high and see where you're at and point out landmarks, where in Ohio, you kind of got to know the trails ahead of time and do your research ahead of time really well, because you're just looking at trees kind of the whole time.
Yeah, no, Nick, I agree with that sentiment. I remember like my first bigger run in Charlotte. Funny enough, I got lost and I was like, I just gotta like find the skyline. Like I was like literally just like, if I can find the skyline, I can get home because I'll know where I'm at. And this was just too far away. And here, wherever I'm at, I can always just kind of see where I am. Like there's never a spot where I'm like, oh, I don't know where I'm at, just based on, the mountains kind of like all around me. So that's definitely the biggest thing. But I definitely do like still like love the, Southeast Ohio, especially those trails down there. I mean, there's definitely something special with going on, with the Bailey's trails, and definitely kind of stuff that's it's just growing exponentially. And it's going to be awesome to see it kind of fully take shape over the next year or so.
Yeah, Wesley knows this. I don't know if you other guys know this. I moved here from Utah, and I grew up in California. I lived in Utah for a while, and I go out every year to Colorado, and I absolutely love those mountains out there. I'm just a mountain rat, mountain junkie. I love them. But when I get home, I do love our trails here. I mean, we have a lot of great trails here, and right here in Athens, we are really blessed with, Lake Hope is 25 minutes away. Now the Baileys, Mount Wood Park is 45 minutes away. We got almost 30 miles right here in the Strouds area. So we're pretty blessed here. But I do like being able to get up 12,000 feet elevation and see the world.
Radar Hill is basically 12,000 feet. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Well, when you do it as many times as you have, it is 12,000.
To be fair, I've only done it once, and on that day I might have been very hungover, and it felt like 12,000 feet.
That's awesome. Well, Earl, it's always a pleasure kind of talking to you. And like I said, whenever we need a ratings boost on, what the Ridge Runners platform, as Travis called it, or program, not a
program. Yes.
we reach out to, Earl the Pearl for that piece. So, we really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Are we going to see you down at McChesney Ridge?
Yeah, I'll be. My plan is to be there.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, good luck, guys. I'm great program tonight, and I look forward to seeing you at OBU.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Great program.
Yeah, it's a great program we got going here. And keeping with the old timer lingo, I want to keep up this beef that I'm growing with Nick now till we are Barty and Earl the Pearl's age. I can't imagine being that old and still having the energy to call someone out, especially when you're playing in those boards as he is,
I'm looking forward to that, Cam. By then, I think we'll both be Hard Rock champs.
Man, high hopes for that.
Yeah, really. Let's say just two aged Hard Rock champs throwing down in Athens, Ohio.
Hey, I would definitely move back to Athens someday. That's for sure.
Let me
probably
know.
only if I could be able to come out west as much as I wanted, but
we'll get a job with the professor at, near the end of it, and then just hang out there for all you do that and fly back to Denver all the time, and you'd be good to go.
I don't know if that's in the cards for me, but I'm thinking about retirement, JD3.
No, that is retirement. So like you only have to work 9 months of the year. You have the whole summer off to fly back.
As someone who very recently left academia, I'm gonna be like, that's not a good retirement job.
No.
It's like, I was a professor's assistant. That dude was putting in 60-hour weeks.
Different world. That is an absolute different world. But I'm excited to see you guys, just continue battling it out. Hopefully, in 20 years from now, you'll at least have run, half of the ultras that Nick's run at this point of Nick's career. So, that's going to be good to kind of see you at least, get closer to the number of experience that, Mr. Nick Voss has.
But hey, wait a minute. You got to compare by age. Where was Nick at?
He got a head start. I
was going to say, sure. Nick Voss totally ran his first ultra at age, 20? Or 21?
No, 25 or 26.
Yeah, so Cam's way ahead.
Weird how I'm 23 still.
What about years of running?
I'm probably behind on that still. I started running seriously in 2017.
So how many ultras, Nick, did you do in your first 4 years?
I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but probably around 10 or 11. I was doing 3 or 4 a year for the first few years, for sure.
So it's comparable.
I didn't run an ultra in 2017. First was Thunder Bunny 2018, and I only ran one that year.
That was a good day, though.
It was not a good day. I had a really rough race. It was 80 degrees at race start. I got 3 hours of sleep in a very humid tent the night before. Had oatmeal for breakfast. You know what's a terrible breakfast on a day where it's 100% humidity and 80 degrees at 7 a.m? Oatmeal. I do not recommend anyone do what I did the night before that race.
How much did the oatmeal play into that though, Cam? Come on.
It was part of it, but it was also, general poor preparation and very poor pacing. You probably shouldn't run the first 2 miles in 14 minutes when you're half marathon PR is 1:49, because that's PR pace.
I think you were just pumped.
I was very excited to be there. It was the first time I had ever been in Athens, Ohio as well. It was a whole new world coming down from Ohio State.
I mean, that's gotta be. I mean, I think if anything, the oatmeal actually helped you. That's what it kind of sounds like.
It helped me. I was very competitive for the first 2 miles. I will say that.
It was fun. I mean, I think if I remember, if it's the same year I'm thinking of, Cam, it's you were. I think it was longer than 2 miles. You were up there. You were in like top 10 for maybe 7 or 8.
I think so, but I was going backwards for a lot of it.
Yeah, I wasn't too
remember
far behind you. I was
actively
kind of
feeling like
just behind you. Like, wow, this guy was really sandbagging in the campground, and he's told me it was his first ultra, and he's out here to win it.
Mhm. Well, being the very intelligent young man that I am, I saw that, like a roughly 6 hour time would get you around that top 10 mark, or at least it would have the year before. And I was like, based on some 20 milers I did at High Banks Metro Park, so I was like, oh, I could probably do that. Not knowing how far of a cry High Banks is from Stroud's. And then I was like, oh, well, if you want to be up that far, you probably you want to go out with the first 10 guys, right? And then like just hold on, So
And those were just training runs, so you could probably just go a little faster even.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's
like
I'm gonna be tapered. Like I'm gonna get a great night of sleep the night before in my tent because I love camping. It's not gonna be the first hot day of the year, of course.
You're going to eat oatmeal in the morning. You're going to be firing on all cylinders, ready to go win this thing.
My normal breakfast of oatmeal that has never betrayed me before.
What an experience you had there. That is still, I mean, that year was definitely one of the hottest years in Thunder Bunny history. But yeah, definitely kind of cool to take a little jog down memory lane, gallop, as Travis would say. John, are you ready for a little debate?
Always.
Awesome. So we're going to go back and forth here.
What are we debating?
Maybe Nick and Cam can be our judges, panelists. People can kind of like
moderators.
Boom. See,
well, we need 2 moderators. That's how bad it's going to get. We have one for each of us. Who's moderating who?
Yeah, who's on my team? Is there
East Coast versus West Coast here?
Oh, dude, I love that. Let's go, Nick. Nick's
okay.
Nick's on my team for sure. But so here we go.
Traitor.
Here's a little debate that I want. What is happening? What is happening? This is already off to a wild start. Okay, so here's the debate that we're going to dive into tonight. And it was kind of around the topic of getting a coach / have the coaching debate. So I think, I'm, like I said, I'm newly coached. I'm kind of all in on it. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I think, I've enjoyed the growth process so far. And, I've been running ultras since, 2015, I think. So I've kind of done a lot of different things. I haven't really done well at them until a little more recently, but and I still have a lot of room to grow. But I think if I would have gotten a coach, in those early years when I was just starting out, I would have actually not even just had those challenges and just propelled myself quicker by having that coach and kind of just not even worrying about the little mistakes and kind of just going at races totally differently. So I think that's kind of where I think, may benefit, someone like JD3 who's training for his 100-miler this summer at Burning River 100, who's going to go out there and crush it and finish this Road to 100 series. And I think, having a coach would just catapult him to the top. John, what are your thoughts?
So my biggest question is, there are certain services I think that a coach can offer, but what particular services they're going to offer that's going to make me finish or not finish that race? I can get one, but what's the increase on my, am I going to finish 24 hours or is it going to be 26 if I didn't have a coach? What's the reasoning behind it? Not that I'm saying I'm against coaches or anything like that. There's a whole different debate about my methodology, my thought process behind getting a coach, and beyond the expense. I can care less about the expense really of a coach. But in terms of what they provide, I don't need extrinsic motivation. It never has worked for me. So I don't need someone telling me to do something. I'm going to do it. Or if I'm not going to do it, either or.
Well, Wes, hang on. So start with, even though you're pretty new to having a coach, talk about more in depth the things specifically that maybe you did wrong without a coach that you think would be different. now?
So the big things are definitely, I think, just structure. So that's the biggest thing. A lot of runners, when they just want to go out there, maybe they have a plan that they found online, but there's not really like, full dynamics to it. And, you don't really get that just like personal interaction. And so for me, and like a feedback too is super big. So like, I've got that workout, I'm literally about to take off out the door here soon. And, based on that, it kind of changes, how things are going to go maybe next week, for example. So I think, just having that, because a lot of ultra runners, like even if you're trying to finish your first 100 miler, or maybe, it's your first 50K and you're just trying to like just literally finish the race, which is the goal for everyone that runs ultras going into any race. That's your goal, is to finish it outside of anything else. And, I think that you can actually almost guarantee success, if you are do a little more fit overall with different structures, kind of challenging yourself in training, adding different speed workouts. I don't love speed workouts, that's not really who I am. I don't love doing that kind of stuff, but, I think it's making me a tougher runner and just adding a different dynamic to my training that I haven't had before.
But is that because you have someone telling you what to do, or is that because could you have done that yourself? Like, is there any reason that you couldn't have figured out that I need to do this kind of speed workout for this week, or do this, or this maintain for mileage, or this increase on mileage? Like, I get it, if you're busy and you're overwhelmed and you just want someone to tell you what to do and give you a structure of like, this is what you're going to do this week, and then you just go do it, then sure, because then you're removing the thought process. It's like meal prepping. Like, you remove that whole process of even thinking about like and questioning what you're going to eat. You just have it ready, you grab it, you eat it, you go. For you, it's like, you just, I'm doing the speed workout today, I'm doing this workout today, I'm doing this workout today, I'm done. And you don't have to think about it. So maybe there's an advantage there, and maybe that's why you like it. But like me, I think being in the way that I think about stuff, I think I don't have the ability to have a rigid structure ever. Like, I can't be like, I'm working out Thursdays and I'm doing speed workouts. Like, my schedule changes from being, I'm traveling for work this day, an 8-hour day versus a 12-hour day. And it's like, it changes. So I got to move everything around. So like, I try to adapt that way and be more adaptive in that response. But I feel like I can build my own structure. I don't need someone to build structure for me.
So adaptable is something that's obviously super big, especially like in anyone's life. I mean, everyone's kind of got things going on, and you got to like move runs around. And one thing that I've kind of done this year is start doing some morning runs. You guys saw me out there yesterday. I don't love waking up at 5 a.m. to go for a run, but sometimes it happens, and that's kind of what just got to get it done. And so even though I think part of it is having that structure and having that just basically the structure, but it's also on you as an athlete to, hey, go out there and actually execute it. John, I think you said you're going to be a morning runner at some point this year. We can talk about that.
Oh, I love shots when they're fired. So it's not that it's the waking up part. So that I have consistently been awake between 6 and 7, 5:36, depending on the day I'm leaving. Like, if I go to Columbus and commute, it's 2 hours. I'm out the door at 6:30. And those days I kind of wash everything because it's a lot. Like 4 hours driving plus a 7-8 hour shift. That's a day. Like, and I don't care who you are, that's a day. That sucks. So I'm up. It's not that part for me right now. It's been the cold. I've been combating the cold. Like, if I had a treadmill or if I had access to ping like I used to, I don't think I would have had a problem running in the mornings. I think the biggest problem for me right now with running in the mornings is me learning how to deal with the cold. And actually, Andrew, who's in the chat right now, gave me good recommendations in the last Road to 100 video about layering and how to clean up and stuff like that, all that other stuff. And so that's been helpful, and I've been taking some of his comments and other comments that I've gotten into my runs, and I've been able to deal with the cold a little bit better. I think right now the only struggle I'm having with cold is abdomen and toes still, but I think that could be solved with the Gore-Tex shoes. I'm not sure what to do about the abdomen, but like, chest is warm, but the stomach is just like an icicle, and it's weird. Anyways, off topic a little bit, but the cold is the big reason why I have not been running in the morning at all. And I think as we're moving towards warmer weather, that will become significantly easier. I also said I would become a morning runner this year. So
Take your time. Take your time.
I will get there this year.
well, okay, wait.
It
real
is
quick,
only March.
Real
There's
quick.
a lot of
It
years
is.
left.
Did you guys hear it? We may have to rewind the tape on this. John said,
Mhm.
hey, I'm taking advice from, like you mentioned, Andrew's in the chat, I'm taking advice from other people, learning about, hey, how do I do this better? How do I do that better? And applying it into my own training. Isn't that a coach's job? Isn't that literally a coach's job to take the training, learn from someone else and apply it into your own training?
I'm a join in on John's side here and say I disagree, actually, because it's like I don't know who this coach is getting advice from, and also depending on who they're getting advice from, right? Like, are they just coaching me based on the latest episode of Megan and David Roach's podcast? Guess what? I'm listening to the same thing. Like, let me cut out the middleman and save some cash here,
Well, hang on, Cam. So I think that's where you come in as a consumer, right? Like, you have a consumer's right to choose who your coach is, and you should do your research, and you should pick someone who you not only think is knowledgeable, but someone who you're willing to accept advice from. And I think with that, I think I agree with you, Wes. I think that is a coach's job. It sounds like, and maybe I'm making assumptions here from what John's saying, but it sounds like his biggest aversion to it is more that he doesn't need a coach to motivate him. He doesn't need a coach, but he's kind of thinking that a coach is going to say, hey, you need to do this, when he doesn't. But that's not really a coach's job either. I think a good coach does what you're talking about, Wes, is adapts to the athlete, understands what that individual athlete is doing, and they're just there to provide tools for success. And that doesn't mean that they're going to give you some rigid plan that you have to stick to or have to comply with. And it's more about just finding those incremental changes and those incremental like progressions that you can help move the needle one step at a time. And I have a little bit of experience that with coaching too, is that you can't try and like fix everything at once and just throw a bunch of information. And that's where I think I would benefit from a coach. I'm the type of person where I can kind of just try and digest as much information as possible, but you can't really action all of that information. So a coach would be really good, I think, at, especially if it was an experienced one that I trusted, someone who can really tell me what I need to focus on and kind of triage what things first I should focus on of those things that I can improve on. Because we all can identify weaknesses. We can identify things we want to do better. But I think that's where a coach can really help.
Bam, that's why I picked Nick on my team.
I can definitely second with a lot of what Nick was saying, was like, having the person to adapt and bring different things to you. But I think an additional piece of aversion, not like an aversion, like I'm not against coaching and I'm not against ever getting a coach. I think there's two things I was telling Wesley about the other day. One of like, when you first pick up a guitar in the very beginning, you get a guitar teacher, right? You go get lessons for, so many weeks, so many months until you're to a point where you have a basic set of skills that you can play with. And then you get to a point where maybe now you're at this point where you figured this stuff out and now you need some more assistance, and then you go back. But you're not always in a situation where you have that lesson or that guitar teacher. You may change around and try different guitar teachers to teach you different techniques. So, one might have a coach, now and move to different coaches to get different perspectives and different ideas on training. And I think that aspect of it would be nice, because you're going to bring in something, and you're going to bring in something from somebody who has an invested interest in making sure that you do well, or an invested interest in making sure that they provide you with adequate information. Obviously, you're going to find a lot of garbage on the internet if you're not paying attention and you don't sort it. So that's one big piece of that. But the other piece for me personally, and I don't know if anyone else is even like this in this group, where I reverse engineer things, and I've always done that in my life. I like system engineering, looking at different types of designs and layouts, for whether it be IT infrastructure, AV infrastructure, whatever it is, or code or website code or whatever, PHP, whatever I'm looking at, and reverse engineer how it worked and how someone got there to that point, their thought process to get to that. So for me to look at another runner who's been successful, to me, the excitement is looking at how they got there, to dissect it in reverse, to figure out what training methodology got them to that point. And I like to do that. And to me, it's like a personable thing. It's like a hobby. It's fun. So taking those different aspects and bringing them together to try to look at what I should do or should try. It's the whole reason I tried vegetarianism when I first started losing weight. It's the whole reason I did vegan. I went vegan for I think 6 months full vegan, or 3 months full vegan, 6 months with eggs, just to try different types of diets, how they respond to my body. And it's more of a reverse engineering what someone else has done, because there are numerous athletes that are vegan and swear by it, but at the same time, like, does that really work for everyone? Probably not. So it's interesting to try it and see that perspective. And I think it's the same thing applies to me how I run. Those are, I guess, two big thoughts that I have about that. I hope that wasn't too much to dump at you.
Oh, I mean, I've got plenty of something. But I think maybe the thing that JD's hitting on there, which he didn't dig into fully, is that at the end of the day, human bodies are complicated, and human biology is not nearly as simple as what you learned in 10th grade science, especially if you went to a public school in Ohio, like I did. And everybody's kind of an N of one. And it's the same reason why we've had 1,000 podcasts with Jeff Browning and another 1,000 podcasts with Jason Koop, where they both say the same exact things about the keto diet or like any kind of like paleo, carnivore, whatever, right? And Koop hates it. And he's like, well, all the science says this. And like Jeff Browning is the Tom Brady of ultra running, like he's still absolutely crushing races as like, I don't want to say a very old man, but an old man, frankly, like Jeff Browning should not be able to dust everyone on this podcast, but he absolutely would. And do I think, as someone who has like an education in like the science of studying humans, that it's because that dude eats more fried eggs than I do? No. But the thing is that Jeff Browning's like this unique individual, who, right, we can't like sort of quantify in paper. And I'm sure Nick Voss can talk more about this given what he's done as far as research in the industry he's in, but studies on human biology and specifically like sports science are often very bad when you like actually look at methodology. We've got a lot of studies that are like, well, we took 6 untrained males and we saw what happened with this protocol. And you're like, yeah, 6 untrained 20-something-year-old men, and they did this protocol and they saw gains. It's like, well, of course that makes sense. Like if anybody's going to see gains from whatever kind of exercise you made them do, it's that group. It's like, how many of these studies were done on women? How many of these studies were done on trained athletes? How many of these studies were done on large groups, and not just the 7 dudes you got to volunteer from your exercise science 101 course, Dr. whomever at whatever university. There's many flaws in these systems, and like just being like, well, the science says this, or like Jack Daniel's lore of running says this and it works for most people. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. And you've got to do that self-experimentation to figure that out.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I agree a little bit with what you're saying, Cam. I think there are plenty of scientific models that are just fine being small sample sizes and being what they are. I think where you get in trouble is when they try and draw conclusions with that don't really match. They definitely need you need the preliminary data first to move on to bigger studies. I think what you're getting at, though, a little bit more in terms of sports science, I don't think that there are a lot of great nutrition studies specifically. So when you're talking about the diets and things like that, that's a lot harder to control variables than it is a lot of exercise-based studies, unless you're trying to bring in nutrition to their exercise. But on the Jeff Browning case, I mean, like, he's also he's an elite level endurance athlete even before he started running. He was a super high level mountain bike guy too. So there's always going to be those types of guys, but I do agree, like, everybody is different. I think if I were trying to be a coach, my objective would be to also know all of those different methodologies and be a really great student as well. And I think that's what Jason Koop does really well. Obviously he's really biased and he has his opinions, and those are his, but it's also something that David Roach does. He's read just about everything you can read on training methodologies and things like that. And their job is really just to try and apply what they think is going to be best to that individual. And if it doesn't work, that's a conversation you're having, on an ongoing basis, and you can switch and make a more informed decision. I think it just kind of comes down to a two heads are better than one type of situation, and that doesn't even really quantify it, because I feel like if I'm choosing a coach, I'm going to choose one who I know is a well-read, experienced coach. I'm going to choose somebody who really may have, 10 heads compared to mine, and you can leave that onus on you as an individual to do the research and things like that. And maybe those are the types, like John's saying, like maybe he is the type who doesn't, necessarily need a coach because he likes to experiment with different things. And he's really driven by finding those results for himself. But most people aren't. Most people gravitate back to what they know or what they've done before. I know I'm guilty of that. It's kind of just a natural pull back to that, I guess just what you would naturally do. So that's where I think a coach would help. That being said, I mean, I've never gotten a coach, but I don't think it's that I am not open to the idea. It's more of like kind of what I was talking about before, like, who do I choose and how do I go about choosing the right one?
I'm gonna take a quick moment to say, if you're in the chat and listening to this conversation and have a point of view that's different than ours, just call in. We'll get you in the chat. Do the text. We'll get you in, and blah, blah, blah. Wesley, I think it's on you now.
Yeah. No, it's good, because I think there's obviously a lot of information here that, Cam, Nick, and you guys have been dropping. And, one thing I'm just curious about during this whole process is, John, if you knew that getting a coach would 100%, or maybe not 100% because, life happens, but 99% guarantee that you finish the Burning River 100, would you pull the trigger on a coach?
Probably not, because I want to get across the finish line as me. Like, not that I wouldn't accept help from somebody who wants to offer it or take, like we have discussions plenty of time. We all have discussions. I messaged the group that we're in and asking about cold weather gear and all this other stuff about what you guys do. But I think even if it was to double my chances to finish, I wouldn't want to, because that's not why I started running. And I think that's also a big part of why I have never gotten a coach or don't want a coach. It's because, like, I run for myself and I compete against myself, and I could care less what either you three do and your paces and going out in your casual 30 milers once a month. It's not relevant to what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do whatever I can to make myself better and a stronger version, and not go back to what I was, or what I came from. So I think that's the big reason why I would never, I guess I wouldn't say I would never get a coach, but I don't think I would ever get a coach until, like I was saying in the chat, until I was probably upper mid pack and wanting to find someone to help me get to that lead pack group. But I don't know if that'll ever even happen for me. I'm not that kind of runner.
See, I think that's just the part where I think I would just disagree. Like, I don't know, John, like if you got a coach and a year from now you're running a sub 5 50K, that wouldn't shock me at all. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not even like changing you as a person. I feel like it would, I don't know. It's just like new perspectives. It's really hard to quantify like what that change would be. But, for someone that's just starting out, just think of it like a flower, for example. Like, a seed, if you add water to it, things going to grow like crazy. But if you already have a flower that's like pretty established, you can add a little water to it. But by the end of the summer, it's only going to grow like an inch or two. I feel like, the margins for someone, if they're just starting out, or if they are, trying to learn more about ultra running, or just trying to maybe accomplish a different goal, or just try something new. I think the margins that a coach allow you to improve are just so significant compared to, a super experienced elite runner who has a coach. But the crazy part is, like, there's a reason that super elite runners have coaches. Like, the best in the world still want to be coached by the best in the world. Like, there's just always improvements that you're trying to make along the way. And I think that's kind of what the whole process is, no matter how you kind of go about it, whether your coach is telling you, hey, it's okay if you take 2 days off because you're traveling for work, you kind of work around that. Or, hey, it's okay if you go do like 20 miles every single day and you double every single day because that's how much time you have and you want to be qualified for the Olympic trials. Like, I feel like that's what the best coaches do. They allow you to really challenge who you are, but also kind of come together and help you accomplish your goals. So that's kind of my monologue on coaching.
But to add a coach to someone who is an elite person, who is trying to get that 1%, the one who needs to use the Nike Viper or 4% or whatever to get that bonus bounce that has no effect on how fast I run a marathon. Like, I think that's the same concept as what Cam was talking before when, like, Samuel was on the show talking about breathing during a run, and Cam was like, is it gonna make that big of a difference at the moment? Like,
yeah, yes.
For right now, a coach across the board of any level of position is going to make enough difference to validate the cost, to validate not only the cost, but to validate the investment in, not the financial investment, but the investment into a coach, to finding one that matches your style and what you need.
I wish we could like clone you and like, just kind of do this experiment ourselves, find a runner, same experience, same 50K time, and let's see how it goes. A year from now, you're training, they're training, everything kind of together.
But Wes, I think if you listen to what John's saying too a little bit, is what I'm hearing is that he feels like there is a lot of improvement that he wants to make on his own. And that is kind of more also, that's also what's really valuable to him, is to see what he can do as he is still seeing those improvements as someone who is still, newer to running and ultra running and things like that. And I get where he's coming from, that, he's doing it for that reason, because he's still showing himself what he's capable of doing. And there's a ton of motivation in that versus, shelling out some money and, getting there. And I would hesitate a little bit to think of that as like the easy way. I think truly, like, there's nothing wrong with that perspective and that point of view, but I truly think that there are so many people out there who have started off that way and then eventually get a coach who probably, and I've heard this dozens of times, they look back and they say, man, if only I would have gotten a coach earlier, I would have really loved what I was doing even more sooner. So that's the only thing I would say, think about. There's value in doing it yourself, doing it your own way, and, having that to reflect on and look back on. But I think a lot of people do look back and say, man, I should have done that sooner.
And kind of to, go off that point, I did it my own way. You know what I mean? Like, when I did my first 50K and 50 miler and, 100 miler, it was super casual, and, that was the training. And, looking back, I didn't really get good at ultra running, Promised Land, Mount Mitchell, and Shawnee 50, some of my better results, until, I really started taking advice from other people and kind of applying stuff that maybe it wasn't a coach at the time, but it just like really diving into the, that environment, basically. So, I mean, I did it, and I think that's just my perspective now. Is like, wish I would have done it sooner. Yeah,
but at the same time, I know when you talk about your history, you tend to have, like you call, an on or off. Either you're on and you're running 70 miles a week and that's that, or you're off and you're just not doing shit. So, like, is the coach really making you just be on all the time? Or what? What's the difference there between, why couldn't you be on all the time by yourself?
No, I mean, I think I am on when I want to be, and I think that's been the big key. Like the coach doesn't make me wake up at 5 a.m. Like that's just kind of who I am. And the only times I was off last year was, I mean, I started the year kind of slow, and then hit 12 straight weeks of 70 miles, and then did the 100, and then kind of took work hit, traveling around the country for 2 months. Didn't really run a whole bunch for 2 straight months. Got back to Charlotte, 6 straight weeks of 70 miles, and then life hit again. So that was kind of, I don't know. It's not really like on or off as much. I mean, I kind of talk about that's how it was, but now it's like when everything else in life is settled down, there's no reason for me right now to be off.
To bounce back a little bit to what Nick was saying, I'm glad you see the perspective of what I'm trying to like get at, where like it's me trying to get that accomplishment. And I think this is a great way to not announce, but talk about my story segments of RT100 that I've been planning and writing out.
Pumped for these.
Basically talking about the very unhappy 260 pound unhealthy version of myself that smoked cigarettes and ate junior bacon cheeseburgers twice a day, to a different version of myself. So I think that what Nick was saying about me getting there and me proving to myself that I can get there is part of that deep-rooted drive to get somewhere. So those will be coming out in the future. I've been trying to figure out a best way to do that. Wesley and I have talked quite a few times about different ways to approach it. But it's interesting, and I'm thankful that Nick can see that perspective of why I may want to approach it that way.
Well, man, nevertheless, we're super excited to kind of see those stories come out in the future on the road to 100. And, you keep seeing your progression. Obviously, it was kind of good to have this big discussion point or whatnot. And, I'm sure people can lean either way on it. But at the end of the day, everyone's running is their own running. And, that's never going to change. And everyone kind of wants something else from it. We all kind of do it for different reasons. And I think that's kind of what makes the sport as awesome as it is. So, man, I think we were going to do an OBU preview, but I think we just may have to have another Voss Talks before OBU and do give it its full justice. What do you guys think?
Could do that.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
I don't think.
Not opposed.
I don't think anyone really knows this, but the reason I had to go out to Denver was to convince Nick to, hey, let's do Voss Talks again. Like, it was ridiculous. I had to literally go see him, convince him, drag him by the neck to be like, hey, let's do this. So let's do this awesome show.
It wasn't the fact that you were just close now and wanted to visit a friend.
No, it's not true.
Had to be motive.
I had to get Wes to come back out here to talk him into having another show. That was the whole thing. I was like, Wes, you got to come out here, because I knew we could just spend 6 hours and I could just be peppering him with, dude, we got to get Voss Talks back.
Yeah, and next time we come back, it'll be Voss Talks with Voss Talks in the middle.
The day that happens,
could be.
Regeneration would lose their mind. They're ready for it. They're ready for Nick to take the reins on this one. Is Nick ready to take the reins on this? We will see, possibly on the next episode. Cam, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, sure thing. If you joined us tonight, we thank you so much for joining. We're super stoked to have you here. If you're listening to this later on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you can find podcasts, you can find us. We love y'all too. If you would do us a favor, leave a rating, subscribe, all those things that you've heard before, please do that for us. If not, we'll guys see you tomorrow, 8:30 with Brian Poland to preview the Super Bowl 50K championships. And then after that, who knows? JD, any Road to 100s coming out soon?
We will have one this week, either Thursday or Friday, depending on my editing schedule, but there will be another one out this week. It'll be recapping January and February and moving forward towards my goals for this month.
pumped. There'll also be a prediction video for the Super Bowl 50K that I'm going to start doing my homework for, and a World of Wesley Colorado edition coming soon. So stay tuned for all that. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on Ridge Runners Live. Thanks for tuning in.
Is that featuring Nick Voss?
Oh, he's the star of the show.
All right. Wonderful. Bye, everybody.
See ya.